Greetings and salutations everyone, and here is the final build I have for Borderlands 3. Technically there's another build I could make, but I don't want to. And of course it's an Amara build. Amara's the last character I play in this game. I'm still not entirely used to her. But, you know, I found its skill set that kind of works. So, we're going to start with the skill trees obviously. In green we've got 2 in a route to rise, you know, more health, better. Personal space, more damage based on how close you are to your target. Most of the time as Amara you're going to be right next to your target, so it's just extra damage, up to 54%. Arm steel, increase splash damage and reduce splash damage. This isn't an entire splash damage build, but it has some splash damage in it. So I figured that's just something nice to have, you know, extra 20%, and you know, reduction is always nice even though the reduction isn't needed for Amara. Samsara, you know, deal damage to enemy, you get more gun damage and health regeneration. Up to 5 stacks and, you know, 25% for both. It's good. Killing an enemy with Amara's action skill grants all allies increased movement speed for a few seconds. Honestly, that's kind of optional, but it's pretty good. Blue is kind of the bread and butter of this build. I'm not the most amazing Amara player, so I kind of just went for 2 and do harm, 2 in the violent tapestry, and 3 in the fast dance because I like the reload speed. Basically, I went 3, 1, and 1. Then I went into 3 into transcend because critical hit damage and accuracy, you know. Most of the time, Amara's enemies are stuck in the air, so you're going to get 3 critical hits. Then of course the whole 1-1 ratio again. Then I went to Ascendant, which, you know, Soul Sap, Lifesteal, plus 20%, you don't need that to be honest, but it just helps in general. And after I went 1 point into Violent Tapestry, Restless, Alacrity, and do harm, simply because I need to get down to this row. Enemies see increased damage after being hit by Amara's action skill. Like, Amara's always hitting stuff with action skill, so damage all the enemies. I then have 3 in the From West, because fire rate and charge time, mostly for just 1 weapon. Then, yeah, I'd be down here, so I'd put 3 points into Wrath, because increased gun damage is effective increased how to activate our action skills, you know. Up to 66% for 8 seconds. Amara's sort of a character you need to be in the right place at the right time, I've kind of noticed, and it's pretty fun to do that because this is a little bit like Zero, I guess. You have to be in the right place at the right time, being behind the enemies and when they're doing something else. I have 1 point in the Remnant. I'll explain why, it's just a class mod though, it says 2. I just have 1 because of certain reasons. And I have 2 into Awakening, increased effectiveness for rush stacks. It's handy, and then obviously I have Avatar to use my action skills twice. It's just good. I have 5 into Infusion, because doing action skill element is great, because you always have a double element gun, or at least an element on any gun. Then 5 into Wildfire I believe, and 5 into Tempest, because chance to spread an element to another enemy and increase your elemental damage plus shock. Dread because, well, they're using grass most of the time, so honestly it's just great because it's basically extra damage on anything you grasp. 1 into Deep Well. 3 into Indiscriminate because ricocheting bullets on Amara when she's, you know, ties a bind is really stupid. 1 point into Lifesteal because that's all she needs. 4 into Conflux, and then Forceful Expression. Like, burns the elemental damage based on your action skill elements, so more damage. For the arguments, I have Ties of Bind. Chain a bunch of enemies together and just be an absolute mobbing machine. But, you know, why not? The element I'm using here is Corrosion. I will probably swap elements during the build, because it's a lot easier to do that. And I've got Stillness in Mind, because you phase lock any enemies to get damage when you use your action skill. So mobbing, you hit an enemy, and everything around it is phase locked. It's brilliant. Now for bosses, I do swap to phase cast, because you can hit a boss with it and you do more damage to them. I'll show a couple of bosses this time instead of just Psycho Reaver, just to show what it can do. And that's pretty much the skill trees. As for weapons, I like to choose an Unkempt Herald, a Flipper with elemental. Unkempt Herald with 100 action skill active. That's just fun, a flipper with fundamental crisp, because if you're face locking stuff, you're gonna get free. You basically have free critical hits. You know, and the elemental novas do help a fair amount. I never soul render in radiation. I don't know if it can come with radiation, I'll be honest, but I think it does. And then we have a butcher. I just like the butcher. It's fun. The shield, well, it's a super soldier. What else do you expect? You can use it in Photo Wish, but there's really no reason to. And I don't want to use the Revolter on Amara. I may use it on Zane, but that's the most I'll use it on. The grenade is the Ispiss. Honestly, as Amara, I forget I even have a grenade. So, yeah. Using discretion advised, the Ispiss can down you. The Puddle of Ineffable Knowledge with Fire Wave mag size, thanks to Basarici for getting this. He went out of his way to farm it. And then Death's Blessing. This is why I have the Remnant Orb, because you can get 20% or 20 seconds of 150% damage. You could say use Phase Zerka, and I'm pretty sure I have Phase Zerka in my inventory. I honestly just prefer the Death's Blessing. That's just how it is, and as usual, I am disabling Overkill, Combo, and Hollow Point. I still have all these buffs here on the left, but I'm not spending any more guiding tokens because I think if you go over 15% in any stat, it actually messes up the game and corrupts the save. I think that's what happened when I played a while ago in my original flag, the one I made the build on. Before I made that video, it got corrupted. And I'm assuming it's because of this. For Mayhem, I'm on Mayhem 11. And of course, well, I probably have Cartels active, but that's fine, you know. And I haven't gotten much of the new stuff yet, but I do like the Blade Fury. It's cool. But that's for the build. I'm actually just going to speed up to the final boss. I'm still going to show the entire guy in takedown, but I'm going to speed up to the final boss. So I'm going to show multiple bosses, and best off just fair. Plus, you guys know Anathema is weak. So I'll see you guys when I get to the final boss. Wow, okay. My self-confidence was shattered. I tried to do a bunch of sneaky jumps to get to the place and missed it like 5 times. That's annoying. I think I may as well just talk through the boss because there are a couple tips that I can give as a matter. So first of all, I'm gonna keep the shock element on. I'm gonna equip Phase Cast for the boss fight just to show what it's like. I'll be using a flipper for the majority of this fight. But the main reason that I have the Grass Blazer, I made it a point to get the Grass Blazer. I said credits to Basarici for helping me with ideas for this, but he didn't tell me specifically what to take, but he helped me along the way a little bit with like little hints. And he wanted to make sure that I had the skill because he couldn't get through the Creek DLC. There was no floating platforms. And he couldn't, like, he would fall through it. I would as well. After like a couple seconds, I was able to do some jumps, but there was one part where he got stuck, and I had to use the phase laser in order to get to the next part of the area. I'm pretty sure he passed that. I'm not entirely sure. And of course, I did say I wasn't going to show Anathema because Anathema's piss easy now. And plus, I'm not going to be able to die to Anathema unless I deliberately throw myself into like the void. Or if he bounces me in, basically, because, as I've said, lifesteal in this game is stupid. Do I think they should remove it? I would like them to remove it, but how are they going to do that? They can't move lifesteal without pissing off everyone but Flag. Because that's the only survivability you need in this game. Amara has blast reduction when she doesn't really need it. It should have been Mosa had that. The Anathema is not going to be difficult. Like, the only reason I'm using the flipper here is because it's corrosive. I don't want to change my elements. Like, I'm just playing lazily. And sometimes there will be bosses that will just try and avoid your face cast. If that's the case, you're playing solo, just change the face grasp and grab one of the enemies in there. Because I could chain everything right now, and probably skip Anathema's phase here. Well, not skip the phase basically, but I'd be able to one-shot any of his immunity phases. But I do actually recommend taking phase laser because sometimes it's just useful. It's one of those skills that you can't really hate. I know people are going to say green tree's useless on Amara. It's not too useless. It's not like Zane's where the whole point of it is to not take that much elemental damage and freeze everything. That's pretty much how it is. Like, it's just sort of, it's a tree that I wouldn't spec too much into, but it has some handy things like the extra health, splash damage, splash reduction, all that stuff. You know, it's good. It's meant to be a melee tree, which they make that pretty obvious, but melee trees on Amara, you know, you gotta go full spec into it. There's a lot of effort just to make a tree that might not even work, because sometimes it's just giant bosses. They're like really far away, and most people's answer to that is just using the face puncher. I don't like to use the face puncher. I tried it multiple times with the white elephant combo and everything else that people have been trying, and I just don't like playing with the face puncher. Like, it's probably my least favorite shotgun in the game because it's just a boring playstyle. Well, the lob is actually my least favorite shotgun in the game. Though it's the same for everyone I know because the lob was just stupid when it got its buff. Like, everyone was over-relying on it and was making every flag player I encounter really bad at the game. Because it was just over-relying on it. It's pretty much just sort of, you know, that thing. I would recommend, you know, find your own way to play Amara. But she is a tricky character to figure out. Like, she was probably the most difficult character for me to make a build around. Even then, you guys could probably tell just like some similarities between mine and other YouTubers' builds because wish stacks are pretty much the best way to work. Like, it's all I could really do. Like, there's a little bit of a spell on it with the weapons, obviously. Like I say, I don't have to choose a Howl, and honestly, the Howl's not even the best option. Like, there's probably a way better splash push you could take, like the Grease Trap or something. I just, like, choose the Howl. I will say right now, Amara is that sort of character. She is. It's really easy for her to take a weapon and use it for mobbing. Bossing is kind of the tricky thing to figure out of her. Like, that was where I was struggling the most, essentially. As you can see, the Death's Blessing, you know, it helped out a couple times, just speeding up the process. I would have had the Crystal Stun easily as Amara, because, like, she's pretty much tied with Zane in terms of people who could do Guardian Takedown easily, because Zane is close, so he could keep the Guardians off of the Crystal, and Amara can just kill all the Guardians to jump onto a Crystal if they even make it that far. I will say that one tip, do not try and go for a minion build on Amara, because it will never work in Guardian Takedown. I know it's super tempting to make a bunch of enemies fight for you, but it's not going to work. I've tried it before, and the Guardians, like, if you make them fight for you, they just walk onto the Crystal, and they stop it from charging. They don't attack you. They just stand there. Which is even worse, because at least, you know, you could kill them when they're not on your side, but if they're on your side, you can't kill them. But I hope you guys are enjoying this sort of, like, last build video. I've actually been keeping an eye on which one's got the most views. I'm actually surprised that Zane got as many views as he did. It's just because he's the meta build or something. I was expecting Zane to get that many views though, but hopefully, you know, you guys enjoy the builds. I haven't got any feedback on whether the build is good or bad. But as I've said, you know, use the builds as a basis. Don't just copy them and then complain to me when the build turns out to not work for you, because everyone has their different play styles. Like, you can play the exact same as me, but you're not me, so chances are it's going to be a much different experience. That's just why I recommend, you know, you use my builds as a basis and figure out your own style, and hopefully you'll come up with something a lot better than mine. Like, that's pretty much how any RPG is meant to be played, but Borderlands in particular, for sure. And like, there's not really much else I could say. I've done these build videos. And as I said, Amara was the last character that I put any real effort sort of into. The only other character I have now is a secondary flak, which I used as a basis to create the flak build I made. So I don't even play that other flak anymore because there's no point. The secondary flak is basically a sort of pet build focused on getting the crystals charged. They do good boss damage. Not as much as my actual flak would fade away in that. But that's why I used Gamma Burst in the flak build. Because I found out if you use Gamma Burst and Red Fang, you can get the crystals charged easily. Those were like the only parts I struggled with. Like, why do you think I made the flak and Rose build first? They were the characters I struggled with the most. Even then, I kinda struggled playing Rose just a little bit for the Guardian takedown in the build video. But you can see the Rose build, you know, it does its damage. It does what it's meant to do, and it's just fun for me. And the only thing I have to figure out now once I make this build video is what to name the thing. Because I don't know what name to give Amara, because as I said, least amount of experience on it. I guess I could give my opinion as well about the new Wolf card. Wow, there was so much power creep in it. I haven't even used all the weapons, but I know they're going to be power creep. I can recommend maybe grab that new doll rifle and use it on this Amara build, because, you know, kill an enemy and debuff a ton of enemies around. You know, that's pretty handy. And Amara's all about sort of debuffing enemies. So I think it's honestly the best thing for her. Just replace the Soul Render. Like, the reason I use Siren is mostly because of skulls, because it's just fun. Like, look, just shoot them. And then you just do brilliant mobbing. Like, it's a good mobbing weapon. As a bosses, most of the time I will probably just be using the Butcher. I know there are bossing weapons that are perfect for Amara. But I like to use what I like to use. Right, let's equip the... No, not corrosive element. The hell? That... And I want to get corrosive element back. Obviously, you know, anathema wasn't going to be difficult. As I've said, lifesteal makes it so you win against them. Do I think lifesteal should be removed? I don't think it should be in the next Borderlands game. Because it just doesn't help. You can be as tanky as you want, but if you have infinite lifesteal, then you're fine. That's why I like to play Flak the most, because he doesn't have a reliable way of lifesteal. His pet does, but not Flak himself. I'm going to end up recording, and obviously, I will see you guys at the final boss. As Scourge, so I'll see you then. Hushed hands. In the back, as you can see, I had pretty much no issues, and I'm noticing now that I'm not really using Harold. Now, of course, this fight is not going to be difficult. As I've said before, lifesteal is stupid in this game. Oh, I did have Fane. I didn't even have stillness of mind. That's how busted Fane is, ties of bind. Like, even now, it is inherently broken, and it's just one of the things on Amara that, you know, is something as similar to Zane, you know, is common sense. So use it. But I'm not really going to have much trouble again. Only problem is if I fall off ledges. But as you can see, I was in the sort of donut area and I wasn't having trouble staying on the ledge. There were a couple times where I nearly got knocked off, but I had quick enough reaction time. I guess that's another tip, but that's kind of just a tip for every character. Like, always be ready. Because you could have the best build in the world and you'll still die to fall into the void. Which, yeah, we all agree, it is stupid, but that's how Guardian Takedown is designed. It is designed to basically just kill you without doing damage. Because they knew lifesteal was stupid in this game, but they still add it. As you can see, yeah, my shield's broke, but I just don't care as long as you do elemental damage as a Amara, because her lifesteal is based on elementals, so in most cases her lifesteal is stronger than Zane. Like, that's what makes it surprising they actually nerf Zane's lifesteal, because nerfing it for one doesn't do anything. And B, Amara has an easier way to get lifesteal. Zane had to get a kill skill. And you could say Zane dead, but think about how the game launched. Zane did have Zane dead when the game launched. His lifesteal had to be earned at the very least. Amara's is just, it's sort of like she farts and she gets lifesteal pretty much. Like, that's essentially how it works, because all she has to do is do elemental damage. You know? And elemental damage comes from everything that she can do. She gets from her action skill. She can equip an element and give it to her gun. And you could say, oh, well then don't take the skill as an element to her gun. That is true, but why would you do that? That's less damage. And you could say don't pick an element. You'll get electric damage from it. So the only way you'll not get lifesteal is if you hit a shock resistant enemy, like one that's immune to it. And guess what? In that situation you actually get lifesteal, even though you're not doing damage. That's why I think lifesteal is stupid. Because I don't know why Amara has all these tanky skills when lifesteal exists in the game, and it just invalidates any tankiness. Like, I don't like playing Salvador in Borderlands 2, but at least he had health regen mostly. He did have ways to refill his health. And yes, Grog and Harold existed, but after Grog and Harold, anyone can use a Grog nozzle. It doesn't take a genius to equip a Grog nozzle. Salvador just had an easier way to get lifesteal. Like in Borderlands 2, you could have, like, Maya, she had a lifesteal skill. But it wasn't as broken as it was in this game, per se. I don't know how to describe it. And of course, you know, if Zero with his kunai, he could get lifesteal if he held the Grog, but the difference here is that Zero's deception is a bad version of fadeaway. I know Zero mains out there are going to be mad at me for saying this, but I'm a Zero main in Borderlands 2. Fadeaway activates like that instantly, and it doesn't even decoy that could, you know, draw bullets straight away and hit you. Now, of course, you could say I could equip Feign for this. Ties a bind for this fight. And I could. That would probably make the fight go quicker. Actually, I'm going to equip Ties a bind just to have it sorted. Basically, from RB, Ties a bind, you can use it on Anathema and Scourge if you really want to, and it's honestly quite decent. It would make the fight infinitely quicker because of all the enemies that pile around them. And that's probably what I'll do for the rest of the fight, but for stuff like Grave Word and Psycho Weaver, you want to use Phase Cast. Like, it just helps. It's simply the way it is. And I guess while I'm going through this fight, I could rank the characters in this game, like, from start to finish, but it's pretty much the order I made the builds in. I don't hate Amara as a character, but she's just a bit boring. Like, I don't know how to describe it. Most of her dialogue is just her being cocky, like her being cocky and stuff like that, when she really doesn't have to write to. Saying quips and all that. Flak's dialogue is a bit bad, I will admit that. Like, no offense to the voice actor, because I know who the voice actor is, but Flak's dialogue just kind of misses 90% of the time, and it has a couple good lines. Like, I guess, you know, Flak's biggest fear, Capioca. Like, I didn't know what Capioca was when I looked at it. I saw it was sort of like a wrap, like a very thin tortilla wrap or something. Like, that's kind of funny, but I didn't know what it was, so to me, Flak was just saying random nonsense. I guess I can say right now, like, Flak is definitely my favorite character in this game, not in general. Like, Zero will still be my favorite Borderlands character, just because of the mystery behind him and his playstyle. Oh, there's a portal. But Flak is my favorite in this game, probably followed by Mose, and then Zen, then finally Amara. Again, I don't hate Amara, but if I had to pick between the characters I want to play as, most of the time I'm probably just going to pick Flak or Mose. And you could say why is that? That's just because, you know, thing, Zane and Amara have lifesteal, you know? I know how fights are going to go when it's like, you know, I'm gonna quit a bunch of stuff, but I can still die. I guess pretty much how it is, so I'm not gonna diss anyone that plays Zane and Amara, you know, you play the character you should play. But I do think lifesteal is a bit stupid, and I hope Borderlands doesn't have lifesteal. Because if so, then the game's not going to be a challenge. Because if Borderlands 2 with lifesteal and the Borderlands a yes in DLC 4, you have to pick up a specific side quest and farm the weapon. Let's not forget the fact that later on they made it so you can never get an OP8 version and an OP10 version. Legit, you have to give them. Like, I guess you could say you always get the side quest, but you can never have a Guag nozzle just by itself, is what I mean. Like, you have to always have the mission. But basically, you have to swap to the Guag. In this game, like, as Flak, I guess you could swap to a lifesteal weapon. But it doesn't help out 3 out of 4 characters of lifesteal. And you have 3 characters that can revive themselves as well. Moses is the only one that can revive herself unless her Iron Bear gets a kill, while Otter Bear or Mini Bear, basically. And that is true. Like, Mose just doesn't have a way to get a lifesteal, and if she loses Iron Bear or Otter Bear, she has to do some damage. Do I think Mose should get a thing? A way to heal herself by like sacrificing Iron Bear or something? I guess. A video I might make is a long time ago. I made custom skill trees. Like when they first announced they were making a 4th skill tree for all of our hunters. I remember I made my own fan versions. So I might do a video just sort of talking about them. Which could just be something fun, you know. Because why not? Because it's always fun when you think in your head, oh, this is a cool idea for a build. I've already described some of the ideas. Do I think my skill trees are better than the ones they put in the game? I'm not a game designer, so the ones they make are gonna be way more balanced than my one, even though they're really not. But there are some cool ideas. Like, as I said in the Zane video, I had an idea for a skill tree where it took away an action skill and gave him a pass similar to Flak. Sort of like one of those null hounds, which I always thought was a pretty cool way to make a build. I don't remember what I had for Amara. I think it was a sort of Borderlands 1 Lilith style thing. Like, it was basically just phase walk with a couple extra tweaks to it. But maybe I will make a video talking about those extra trees. I have to remake them because they're on my old PC. My old PC is here, but I really don't want to plug it in. It's so slow. And I probably long since delayed the skill trees because, you know, skill trees were already made in Borderlands 3, so by that point I was like, no reason to talk about them. But also some cool ideas. Like, I remember the whole Flak idea, I think, was similar to Athena. She had the whole blood stack tree, I think. There was something where she had to make enemies bleed. And it was basically Slag in the pre-sequel. I think that was something I had for Flak. A tree similar to that for Saurian Pet. But who knows? As you can see, I'm not having trouble during this fight. Like, I kind of want to speed it up, but there's really no point. Obviously, I will show some extra bosses. I'll show Gravewood, because why not? It's been a while since I've killed Gravewood on footage. Even though Gravewood's going to be way too easy. Like, again, I'm going to say this, like, if you're going to watch a build video, if they start off by killing Gravewood, don't take that build to heart. Anyone can kill Gravewood. Gravewood is not a difficult enemy. Similar to Twant in a way. They had the whole thing where they increased Twant's health, but again, that didn't really do anything. I was able to kill Twant when they buffed his health. Did they buff it too much? Yeah, absolutely. But again, if the character is lifesteal to outlive a boss, like as long as you're fine and don't just jump into Twant's face, then you're not going to die to him. Like, I'm gonna basically show a final boss of each DLC, I think. Except for maybe Jackbot. I'll probably show Jackbot though. But that's what I mean by, like, use this build as a basis. Yes, it could be Guardian Takedown ready, but you don't play the exact same as me. I'm not saying I'm too skilled. I'm probably the least qualified person to make an Amara build for Guardian Takedown, because she's a great character for it. Probably the best character for Guardian Takedown in my opinion. Reason being is just ties a bind, the fact she does elemental damage to everything. She has like little to no issue. And it's true, like, you know, you can't have much trouble with her in Guardian and Motherwell Takedown. If you do, then you have to retweak your build, obviously. But use this build as a basis, and I don't think it will happen, but if you use this build for YouTube, don't start the video off by killing super easy bosses. I don't care if you don't give credit to me for the build. But if you're gonna show this build and start off by killing Graver, I'm not gonna take the video seriously. Because anyone can kill Graver, you can kill him with no skill points. Like that's why I'm showing Guardian Takedown. Obviously I said this before, but I'm showing Guardian because it's the end game challenge. It's the most tough thing to do in the game because of the way it's designed. Like, is Guardian Takedown still stupid? Honestly, to me, not anymore. Because I was able to find my own builds and just did my own stuff. Siren and Amara, I was never worried about those builds. Flak and Moose, I was worrying a little bit during the build videos. Because obviously the Flak one, I was struggling with the first set of crystals. But in this one, I was struggling a little bit with the thing. But the second set, just a little bit because the enemies were just everywhere, but Amara is a good character for Guardian Takedown. You could say she's kind of a support class, but not really. Now, another thing. I could use, to phase Zerkin during this. I would get all my rush stacks, but you get rush stacks by doing damage. So, I'm not too worried about that. Now, is Amara the slowest character to kill stuff with? Kinda. There's some bosses she shreds through and some that she doesn't, but obviously, you know, every character works differently. Now, can this build get through Guardian with melee? I haven't tried and I don't really want to try. Like, I just don't care too bad. As you can see there, ties of bind just sort of chained everything. And Scourge is just getting his ass handed to him on a silver platter. Of course, I could have been the orb guys. Now, is this build Guardian Takedown ready? Well, yeah. Any build can be Guardian Takedown ready, as long as you have a teammate that's good at taking care of the crystals. That's why I went through all of these videos solo, because I wanted to prove that I can do a solo. Because here's the thing, I could have had someone else do the crystals, but then that wouldn't show anything. The build wouldn't be Guardian ready if I couldn't make it past for crystals. Will I ever go for Guardian Takedown again? Sometimes. I don't know if I will on live stream or during the video, maybe. Like maybe for like another gaming montage, but I just don't know. And Scourge is dead. As I've said, this fight is not difficult. I think lifesteal is stupid and you could say I could remove it. But why remove it when it's so convenient? I might as well turn in the thing, the chest. Let's see what we get. Hey, we got the Bunker Blaster thingy. Weapon trinket. That's cool. Let's see. Start, Krakatoa, Rectifier. Another Globetrot. I've been getting a Globetrot every single of these videos. And look, the worst gun in the game. You could say Malik's Bane, but at least a Malik's Bane can be useful. A wood blocker is never useful. There you go. Elemental Projector, load of dice. That's another one I could equip. I'm using a pro because I didn't get one for now. Oh, look at Alex Payne. You gotta love it when scores just drops useless stuff. Come over Grogans and to Grogans, kill back, kill enemies with assault rifles. That's fine. So, I'm now going to show what I can do just against some of the bosses. So let's start off with the Handsome Jackbot and then Freddy. Now, why is this build longer than the other ones? I really just feel like playing Borderlands 3. I've been playing Brilliant Diamond for the past couple of days and, well, since it released, I'm getting sick of trying to get a dinner with good IVs, but that's entirely unrelated. Like, I'm just doing this mostly because I needed something else to do. I'm kind of just making this build video because I'm bored, but also I need to do it anyways. Like, I need to make the build video at some point before winter hits, because when winter hits here in Ireland, it's gonna be horrendous. Like, I will probably not be doing any live streams during winter because it's freezing now and it's nearly end of autumn. So yeah, just a little bit worried about that. Now obviously, you know, I could go in the elevator because Freddy is not difficult at all. He usually gets one shot. And I'm tempted to, I'll be honest. But I say nah. As you can see, mobbing is no issue, but it's Amara, you know? The Sirens have always had a good mobbing game. Amara just happens to have amazing mobbing in this game because she's essentially a buffed version of Maya. And Maya was a fantastic mob in Borderlands 2 and a fantastic boss killer. I guess just the way Amara's designed, like, ties a bind already ruined the fact the American mob. She's good enough as is about it, but obviously, you know, you don't want to give ties a bind to any of the other characters because it just breaks the game. And Freddy's gonna die soon. Yeah, as you can see, not a challenge at all. He never is, but with ties a bind, you don't even have to look at a boss. You can just hit something near them. And I don't know what he dropped. He dropped a bowling gun and shock. That's actually kind of cool. I'll pick that up. That's about it. An auto me, which he always drops. And of course, need to equip the phase cast. The only reason I'm not speeding up this bit is because I don't need to. I don't need to get myself shock at the or corrosive at the moment. Now, of course, I haven't been using the hound, so you know what? I'll give myself corrosive and just see how it does, because I don't really use the Hound for bossing. It's also a mobbing tool, like just a very good mobbing tool, but it is good for some bosses, and you could probably make a build around it. As to why I use it, well, it's mostly just because it has splash damage. It's just a fun weapon to use, though. That is good damage against Jackbot, but it's Jackbot, you know. This DLC's bosses aren't too bad. The Fabricator is kind of a maybe difficult. Depends on who you ask. Oh, would you look at that? Fantastic damage. I believe his quick spot is his junk this time? I don't know. Yeah, it doesn't matter anyways. I want to be better at playing him out a little bit. But why put in the effort, you know? All you have to worry about as Amara is finding a good way to do damage. Because as I've said, the toughest thing about it is making a good bossing build for it. There are ways to do it, super conveniently. But if you want to go for like a general build, so what all my builds have been so far, it is a bit tricky. And of course I could just shred through the fight, like, Budget isn't as powerful as the Hound by the looks of it. And the reason I'm using Butcher is because it's fun. I know most of you are probably screaming at me saying, use the lob, use the bowling gun, use this and that. And to that I say no. Like, I'm trying to make whatever build I can with the weapons that I want to use. I know most people that saw my Flak video are probably saying use a Stockpile Monarch, but I do not like that combo. As I've said before, if you have to do that, then your build doesn't do any damage to begin with. That's simply how it is. Let's see, next boss is, well, not Malawan, because I can go through Guardian, I can go through Malawan. Psycho Weaver, the boss everyone wants to see. Yes, I know this video is going to be longer than the other build videos, but that's just how it is. Like, I want to do this all in one sitting. Like, when I'm speeding up, I'm ending the recording by immediately restarting it with my microphone muted. That's why I'm making these videos and speeding up the mobbing sections, because Amara can do mobbing, and every character can do mobbing. Amara and Zane just have a little bit of an easier time with it, and so does Mose. Flak is kind of a maybe. I say Flak is probably the slowest mobber in this game, by a big margin. You could say during this fight I could equip like Elaid or something. Equip a multi-pellet sniper, and today I say I could. Like, that would actually work. But I could also just do this and shoot Psycho Weaver in the face a bunch, which is just quite fun. And I'll always just be able to fight as a man, like, basically get a bunch of these pillars destroyed and have Psycho Weaver get grabbed by ties of bind and just shoot him. But this is just quite fun, you know? Do whatever you want, like, use this build as a basis for your own Amara build. Honestly, I like if you gave credit to me, but don't just take the build and just show it killing Graveward, because everyone can kill Graveward. If you, that's the biggest defender that, you know, any build that can kill Graveward is a build. It's not a good build, it's just a build. Again, that's why I show Guardian. It's the toughest piece of content in the game. You could say, what about Arms Race? Well, Arms Race you have no skill points, and it's complete random. So, to that I say no. Like, that's just how it is, you know? Like, at least try some of the difficult stuff in the game before you decide to make a build video. Like, I probably will kill Grave away after Psycho Weaver, but you guys know I'll be able to kill him. It takes, like, not even a minute, I don't think. Of course, you could say, well, it's taking a while to kill Psycho Weaver. My argument is kinda, like, you're kinda waiting for Krieg to just put him in that phase where he's just stuck, because he takes a lot more damage during that. Like, again, Amara's all about being in the right place at the right time. You need to have the right amount of debuffs on a boss, and then you need to have the right weapon equipped and the elements, you know. She takes prep work. That's kinda the difference between her and the other characters. She takes prep. And I could use a flipper. Like, if you use a flipper here, you know, you always have to dodge, so you could get those elemental quests and they'll do a lot of damage. Obviously, you know, killing bosses isn't that big a deal for any of the characters in this game. And honestly, I don't even want to shoot a Graveward fight, but I will. Like, after this, I'll kill Graveward just to show you guys what you can do, because I haven't done that for any of the other characters. And I'm sure you guys can guess why. It's just because they're gonna kill the Graveward anyways. Like, all the characters have varying speeds, with Amara probably being the slowest boss that I have. Oh, Rainbow. Brilliant. Yeah, as you can see, he's probably gonna go through this entire attack, and I live. Like, that's how tanking is. That's just, you know, lifesteal in general. That's why I don't want lifesteal Wonderlands. Because it's just gonna be stupid. But we'll just see what Wonderlands does. Hopefully it'll be innovative and actually have a character based on being tanky. Maybe have a little bit of lifesteal, but not much. Or at least make them have a ton of health while being tanky. Because that's how tanks are meant to be. Of course, I'm going to check what Cycle Weaver drops. Plus Ultra. So, I'll go kill Graver and then end the video there. So I'm going to say, if you enjoyed this build, like, subscribe. If you don't like this build, then, okay, you know. You're allowed to have an opinion, I'm not going to judge you for it. No, you get, well, you're just going to have a different build than me, you know. Also, I recommend checking out the other builds, being my Mozane and Black build, because I had a lot of fun making those, and I had a lot of fun making this. Oh, Grip was already dead. Whoops. I forgot I killed him right before I started the video. It's a secret to everyone. But, yeah, like, obviously, like, subscribe, and there is a link to Twitch and some of my Borderlands free streams, like, for me going through the main story and playing the DLCs and that. So, I would actually highly recommend, you know, checking out my Twitch, where I'll be live streaming many different games. Maybe streaming Borderlands free again at some point, depends. They need to add something new, like, I don't know. I would say another takedown, but I don't want another takedown. I might do another boss rush, though. Hijixi Gravewood is like literally no trouble. But I hope you guys enjoyed the video, and I'll see you all whenever. I don't know when I'll play next, but I'll be back. Don't worry about that.